Welcome back to Connect. I'm your host, Andy Hale. I'm here with I feel like you're my co-host, Monica Burkoth, because we've done this so many times. Trial attorney extraordinaire, confidence counsel. You got so much going on. It's so good to have you back.
I feel like I'm home. It's so good to be back and always to see you. I'm like excited to catch up.
Well, I thought we would be doing this follow-up sometime in July, maybe August. So for people that haven't listened, go back and listen. It was 4 weeks ago. Had Monica on here, and we were talking about putting yourself out there, telling your story, using social media. And Monica was and has been very active on LinkedIn. And I was saying, you really should try TikTok. And 4 weeks ago, I looked you up on the phone. You had 37 TikTok followers, and I'm going to pull it up right now and get a live update. Monica Burkoth, let's see what you got. 5,815 followers today. That's crazy. In 4 weeks. Did you, I know you probably were optimistic, but did that surprise you?
No, not at all.
I love that. Yeah, I love it.
No, I'm actually like, it should be more, but no.
Put a zero on there.
Yeah. I honestly, I'm like, because I feel like it's going to go to 100. I just feel like I had it dialed in, I think, already. I have no weirdness about self-worth or being, or like any limiting beliefs around being seen or being perceived anymore. I honestly don't give a shit. And I feel like that helps a lot.
Amen.
When you get past the, what are people going to think? And then I'm like, there's also a freedom on TikTok. If you've noticed this, Andy, so I'm kind of focusing on lawyers, and all lawyers are scared to be on TikTok. So everyone's like user 995. That's their name. No one is Andy Hale, Monica Burkoth. They don't have their full name because they're like scared to be on TikTok. So everyone is like JD59 or whatever. So they're all like anonymous. So, it's easy to stand out as a lawyer on TikTok, I think. And, but it's interesting because lawyers getting a lawyer, Andy, and people are arguing me about, stupid stuff in the comments, but it's part of it.
Well, I think what you want is engagement. You want to spark a conversation. There's on my TikTok feed, like I said, is mostly manifestation, music, and food. And I got a few of these videos. I don't know why. I don't even watch this person's videos. It's like a woman who always says, "Hey, I'm getting ready to go out and this is what I'm wearing," Hey, I'm getting ready to go out and this is what do you think of this top? And the one video I watched for 15 seconds, she's like, "For all you haters out there who tell me, you don't like, the way I look or whatever," she's like, "just keep talking because it's in my comments." So her attitude was, okay, that's fine,
Yeah, just helps the algorithm or whatever.
Yeah, and so
I'm not fully there. There's a few that I've deleted because I'm like, I don't want the negative vibes.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people would have stepped up to defend me or whatever, but I'm like, I just don't, it just feels ugly. And I don't want that person in my world, So I don't necessarily go with I'll take all the hate. No, I don't want the hate. I want just good vibes,
No, and even on my true crime podcast, I had one. I had this guy, David Rosen, who's this investigative journalist from the UK, talking about the Lucy Letby case, who was this neonatal nurse who got convicted of 7 counts of murder of killing these little babies a couple years ago. Anyway, a lot of people have been interested in that video. A lot of people have watched it, and there have been hundreds of comments. But there were some comments like, "Oh my God, the host just interrupts him too much." And at first, it really kind of hurt my feelings. Like, oh my gosh, I gotta, and I'll try to be more cognizant of it. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, okay, I'm not going to please everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
If there's 400 comments, I'm sure one person's like, "Oh, Andy Hale stinks. What stupid questions he asks," or whatever. I mean, you just have to be yourself. So here's what I wanted to ask you primarily today. How did you do it? What was your mindset? What was your intention? How did you go about? Because when we started, you were not really playing the TikTok game much. You had just started out, 37 followers. So tell everybody, what was your mindset, vibe, energy when you started that to kind of start devoting time to it?
I have it written down, which is so funny. It came out of me one day when I was journaling, and I feel like it kind of answers your question. Here it is. I'm not creating to be liked. I'm creating to remind people of something they forgot they needed to hear. And for some reason, I feel like I knew who my audience was because I want to focus on lawyers, because I feel like we're so trained black and white, and I feel like we could use this more holistic spiritual approach to everything. And I thought, here's how I get through to lawyers, because lawyers are very black and white, right? How do I get through to lawyers? I need to prove that I'm an authority. So I hit them over the head with all this trial shit, and they're eating it up, right? How to impeach a witness, how to refresh recollection. This is simple stuff for us, Andy. We're trial lawyers. But law students and people that are early on in their careers that aren't in the courtroom as often as we are like, oh my God, this is amazing. And so that's how I got quickly some authority, right? And I thought if I could just establish myself as somebody who kind of has it all together, knows what they're doing, which I do, makes that clear, I need to establish first, like, why should I even listen to you? Because if I'm a hot mess, no one is going to take my spiritual advice or like my mindset stuff, right? And so I need to establish that, like, I'm doing well at work. I know what I'm talking about, and this is how I'm going to start building a foundation in that way. And then from there, I'm just starting to sprinkle in stuff about motherhood and work-life balance and the mindset stuff that I do before stressful events. And yeah, and I'm just approaching it with like fun and like not overthinking it. The ones that I post like quickly, like spur of the moment, are the ones that go off. Always. The ones that I overthink, no.
Yeah, a couple things on that. I think you do come off as an expert, which you are. You talk about topics that everybody wants to learn. Even I need refreshers on, how do I refresh recollection, or how do I establish foundation? I mean, that's stuff even trial lawyers kind of want to, bone up on it. A lot of people don't know it. But to go to your latest point, I saw one of your videos. Okay, everybody out there, this is crazy. At the time I saw it, it was 10 million views. Okay. If you said to me, Andy, there's a video of the last 20 videos I posted, one of these has 10 million views. Which one do you think it is? My last pick would have been the one that got the 10 million views, because I just wouldn't have thought, it would have gone crazy. And explain what that video was.
It was something that I learned on LinkedIn that shocked me. So what it was is an attorney that I'm connected with on LinkedIn posted something he's like a legal writing like nerd, and he like loves everything about legal writing and which margins to use and things like that. And I follow this guy, and he said something like Times New Roman is out and Century School Book is the new font for legal briefs. And people were responding, oh yeah. And I was like, wait, what? Like,
yeah,
what?
Me too.
And
me
I
too.
wrote in the comments, like, I had to look it up. I'm like, what is this?
Are you sure?
Times New Roman for life. Like, nothing. When opposing counsel sends me something in anything other than Times New Roman, I like edit it. I like fix it. I'm like, this is no.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I can't be the only one, right? So I thought, I'm going to just post this on TikTok and see if people are like as weirded out by it as I am. And clearly they were. Although I think it got some legs without people weren't reading it closely. I said like the new font for legal briefs is Century School Book, not Times New Roman. And people are up in arms. Well, I'm in high school and we use Times New Roman. And people are like, what? Like crying emojis, like in college, or it clearly says legal briefs, but people aren't reading closely enough. So it just exploded. And Business Insider or something like that asked if they could repost it. And they said, is this the fall of the Times New Roman Empire? And I'm like, this is for legal briefs, everybody. Read the text. God. But it's at like 15 million now or something.
15 million. This is the power of TikTok. And what I love about it is it's a video where you don't talk.
No.
You're just at the computer. There's text that says like, oh, I just found out, Century School Book is like, I feel so stupid or something. And then you had music where like the track was like, oh, where was that from?
So I didn't know because TikTok suggested that audio. So I just went with it. But my sister said that there's a show called Euphoria that all the kids are watching these days. And she's like, that was a viral audio.
Okay, so that helps too. It's a combination of things.
Right. She's like, that's what really helped.
But here's the thing. It's not like we're sitting here saying, wow, your video on the fonts got 10,000 views or got 100,000 views. 15 million views. 15 million views. So that just shows you the power of TikTok. Something simple and authentic, because this is really, this literally was like, you were like, what? And you just authentically posted it with no expectations, I imagine. You weren't thinking this is going to go viral.
No, I was like, I was just trying to commit to post one thing a day. I had nothing that day, so I was like, I'll just throw this out there.
It was your throw-in.
Yeah.
And I think it just shows you, I think a lot of people that could be on TikTok, and you don't have to be, that have some kind of little business, they have some kind of profession, they have some kind of passion, and they think, well, what am I going to talk about? And I try to tell people, like, if you are just authentic and whatever your passion is, let's say you make birdhouses. You're like saying, you know what, I kind of prefer oak to walnut. The wood is just stronger and harder. I mean, that's a video. The size of the birdhouse is a video. The types of birds that go in the birdhouse. I mean, you could have 50 videos I could think of right now. And I try to tell people, just be you. Talk about what you like. The font thing resonated with you. Like on LinkedIn, you're like, wait a minute, what? Like, and so I just think it shows that you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to be an influencer. You don't have to be glamorous. You don't have to be any of those things. In fact, I actually think today people want the opposite. They just want somebody who they like hearing from. They like the message. They're authentic. They don't want a poser. They don't want some bullshit. Like, they can see through that very easily. I think that worked initially. So I just think your story is so incredible, how fast it happened. So I wanted to ask you, once you started posting on TikTok regularly, did you kind of check it, or did you just kind of release it like, yeah, let's just see where it goes?
Well, it's hard not to get like a little tied to how's it going? How's it doing? Especially after you have one blow up. So then the next one has got like, you're in 200 view jail or whatever. And you're like,
right.
Oh man. But here's the thing. I had to seriously, and that's another Post-it note somewhere around here. Like, I'm not doing this for likes, right? I'm not doing it. I don't need the external validation. I was doing it for me, right? And sometimes I have to remind myself of that, because you can get addicting where you just keep going back to see how it's performing, and that's when it loses, I think, the fun of it, right? And I think as humans, that's inevitable. I'm just trying to remind myself, like, that's not why I'm doing this. And I've noticed, Andy, and this is just life, right? The less I care about it, the less I'm like, I'm just going to have fun, like with my kids after work, and I'm going to put my phone away. I'm not going to look at this until tomorrow. Those are the days that it goes nuts, right?
Right.
And the days where I'm like checking it every 5 minutes, or like I can't get any work done because I keep scrolling to see it, no. It's like watching a pot of water boil. You just go live your life, feel good, and it'll happen for you over here.
I think what you just said is maybe the most important, is the feel good part. You have to feel good about what you post. You have to enjoy it, and you have to feel like you shared something that you enjoyed, that you liked. That's what I've been doing. I think I told you about last time, that my little Hungry for Justice series, where I'm at a restaurant. So my podcast producer, Chip, who you met, I was out in LA just about a week ago visiting my son. Chip's out in LA. And we filmed 3 of these in 3 of my favorite places. Damon's Tiki Bar in Glendale, Cantor's Deli on Fairfax, and Dupar's at Farmer's Market. 3 food places. I could have just done a food review, right? But I sprinkled in true crime as I'm sitting there having my pancakes or my matzo ball soup or my Mai Tai, And you know what? Like, right now, you can tell. I just enjoyed so much doing it. It brought a smile to my face. It was so much fun. And I felt like, hey, I'm sharing this cool place, check it out. And oh, by the way, there's this cool true crime case. And so it's just me. That's what I like talking about in that moment. So I think that's a big part of why you've resonated with people. You've got things to say. You could tell you enjoy saying what you're saying, and it's going to help people potentially, and you're sharing your knowledge and you're putting it out there. And I think it's just amazing.
Thank you. And thank you, Andy, for kind of pushing me in that direction. I'm having fun, and I just feel like the opportunities are flowing. Like, as much as they were flowing at LinkedIn, I feel like it's going to be flowing.
I also think that's one thing that happens, is opportunities flow where you might meet somebody that wants to collaborate on a book. I know you want to be a New York Times selling author. We talked about that. Be audacious. You might talk about somebody who wants to have you on their podcast, who's got a much bigger audience, and now you might now be coaching a lot more individuals. You might just meet some people that become good friends of yours, right? So there's so many more ways this can impact your life in a positive way, where you just enjoy life even more. That's the beauty of it. That's simplicity.
Oh, you know what? Somebody actually reached out to me like in the DMs and said, I'm a city attorney for Fort Wayne, Indiana. I wish you lived out here because I'm always looking for counsel. And I'm like,
there you go.
So it's like, and she's under an anonymous username. Like, you don't know who's looking at you. You know what I mean? But if you're not putting the content out, you're not being seen. No one is going to come save you or discover you. You need to put yourself out there. You need to shine, be the lighthouse, and then the boats will come.
There you go. And I like, one of the things I personally like about some of your posts are the ones where you talk about techniques to calm yourself if you're going into court and you're nervous, or I'm going to have a panic attack in front of this judge. I think people are afraid to admit any kind of weakness. People are afraid to admit they were ever nervous in court, that their mind went blank, or their heart was racing, or they forgot where they were at in the examination mid examination, and now you're like, you froze. And I love how you have some videos talking about techniques to calm yourself, because I just feel like there's so many people out there that are trying to act so cool and like perfect that people aren't really being authentic or vulnerable. I mean, I tell my daughter Hannah, who's a first-year lawyer, I still get nervous for things. I think that's part of it. I think talk to any professional athletes. I'm sure they say, yeah, I still get nervous for the game. Mm-hmm. I've been in a lot of game sevens, but I still get nervous when I walk on the court. I think, I love how you share that. And I actually think that is really going to be maybe the most important stuff you're sharing, because it has such an impact on somebody who might be struggling with that.
Mm-hmm. Or those that won't even admit that. Who doesn't get nervous? A serial killer. Like, you get nervous. There's a lot of pressure in this job. And I think that if you don't get nervous, maybe you're not taking it seriously enough, So it's high stakes. Yeah, everyone gets nervous. And I do every day.
And even though now I think, you've got a nice little rhythm going, because I get your posts and there's a lot, it's lawyer tips. You have such trial experience. You've got a lot of good things to share. But I do like how you're sprinkling in now some of the, techniques about, how to calm yourself, how to ground yourself. I think you're going to start sprinkling in some more of your manifestation, some of your mindset. I was just having this discussion with a person at work. I'll tell you this story. You could probably figure it out who it is just by me telling the story. But one of my partners, does more like plaintiff's work. And I was saying, let's think about ways we can market. Should we do Facebook ads? Should we do like Chicago Lawyer Magazine? What else? We were just kind of brainstorming on things you can do. And then after talking for like a half hour, I said, you know what? No. I actually think I think we're better off just like, it's all mindset. It's mindset. Like, if you have the mindset that, you know what? I've got a $10 million book of business. And you feel that, you believe it, and you carry yourself around all day like, yeah, I got a $10 million book of business. Money's just flowing in, cases are flowing in, people are reaching out to me, I am just crushing it. God, it's so great. I'm helping so many people. It just feels amazing. I'm walking on cloud nine. If that's your vibe, if that's how you feel, I'm telling you, that is going to be more productive, and it doesn't cost a damn cent, than getting a billboard or doing digital ads. I think it all starts inside of you. And I actually feel like I'm actually thinking about doing this at Hale and Monaco. I'm thinking about hiring a manifestation coach, a mindset coach, to come in with the lawyers who are interested in developing clients and business and, cases, because I think that will really be productive. I think it all starts with how you feel. And if you carry yourself as that person right now, that's the first step and the most powerful step you can take. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can teach that.
Yeah. They'll have you come in. Yeah.
I could teach them that.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1,000%. Like I know that you can think of a few lawyers right now. And men come to mind. I can't think of any women that really have this persona in our area. You see them in court, they have that swagger. They have that energy. They know they're the shit.
Right.
And you feel it. Everybody feels that this is somebody important. This is someone that's got money. This is someone that's got cases. And you can fake it until you believe it and become it. It's a shift. It's a decision. It's a mindset. You know, they already have it, so it's easy for them to be it. But you can pretend and literally trick yourself into becoming it.
Right. And I've had that conversation with people at work,
So how are you dressing? How are you showing up to Zooms? Like, you know, all of that.
And I really, you have to, when you're getting in your car, when you're walking into court, when you're in the office, you're walking down the hallway, because I kind of look at it this way. Let's say that person, you know, right now really doesn't have any clients. Maybe he's got a few little cases. But let's just say in reality, you had a year where, oh my God, in 2025, I brought in, I resolved, you know, $50 million worth of cases. I helped clients on some huge cases, $50 million. How would you feel? That's my thing, what people don't think about. How would you feel inside if that was real, okay? Because that is a feeling, and you definitely would feel it, and you would act and feel differently day to day. You'd feel more powerful. You'd feel more successful. You'd feel a different vibe. You would have a whole different energy when you're talking to anybody, right? And so that's what I'm trying to get across to people is picture what you want, okay? And I shouldn't have to tell you what you want. You should think of it on your own. What do you want? Picture you having it. And now the most important part is, how does it feel? That's the key. I mean, you can say it all you want on paper. You can read it on paper. I have $50 million in business. I have $50 million in business. You can read it 1,000 times. I think what's more powerful is feeling that feeling. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is it. I mean, this is like everything that I teach in the academy. The confidence, it's not like your tone or your technical skill. It's
what's the academy? Tell me again.
Self-concept.
Tell me the name of it again.
It's the Confident Counsel Academy. And it's still, and it's, you know, it's still on a wait list. I haven't recorded all the modules, but it's essentially, it's a self-concept course. Like, who are you trying to become? If it's the confident attorney that has all of this large book of business, that's an equity partner of their firm, that's highly respected, how do they show up? What are their beliefs? What do they believe about themselves? How do they start their day? How do they think about when an email comes through and they don't know the answer? How do they respond? How do they respond to this? It's all about creating that avatar of that person and then starting to become that person or act like that person. It's faking it till you become it is essentially it. And so, yeah, I fully believe in this for anything.
And I think where it starts is you have to decide what you want. Okay. I think most people are just going through life on default mode. And it's very easy to be on default mode. Your life might be totally, perfectly fine. You could be a lawyer and, you know, you're pretty successful. You know, you got a good job. You like your job. You've got a comfortable life and it's fine. And that's fine. That is totally fine if that's what you want. But let's say you wanted more. Let's say you said, you know what?
Let me just stop you right there and nobody wants a fine life. That is programming. That's your parents making you, or somebody making you feel bad for wanting more than you already have. That's like societal program that like you need to strip off. Nobody wants a fine life. You want an extraordinary life. You only feel that way because you feel guilty or like only bad people want more. Like there's not enough to go around. That's like a total scarcity mindset. So if you feel like you're that person, you got to work on that. I'm
glad you said that because I don't want to make it sound like I don't mean to say you don't have a good life, okay? Because you have a good life. But my point is, and when I was talking to that person at work and I said like, well, what do you want? And I said, you know what I think? I think you should have like a $50 million book of business, you know, this year. You could have $50 million and the person's kind of like, wow, like kind of like, really? It's like, hell yes. But you have to want that, and you have to believe
see yourself
you can do
as
it,
the person that can have
and
that.
see yourself as a person who can have that. You know, there's a person we both have seen on TikTok. I just know her profile is Courtney, right?
Mm-hmm.
She talks about manifestation. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
The woman who talks about like manifestation techniques.
Method acting and stuff.
Yeah, she said something that resonated with me. And I've been thinking about it a lot lately. She kind of analogizes it to there being a computer program in your body. Reality is the PDF that prints based on the operating system that's inside your body. And it's like, if the operating system inside your body is based on yesterday's news, the old version of you, well, you know what? The PDF of what you want is not going to print. And she kind of talks about it being a file. So I kind of picture myself taking a computer disk of what I want and putting it in my body. And then I think about during the day, like, hey, I got that new operating system in me. I got that new computer disk in me that's got all these things. That's got the Academy Award for Chester and Me for the short documentary. That's got all these other things that I want to do. And that's in me now. And that's now my operating system, you know? And I look at it that way, and it just kind of, the way she kind of said that, she's like, if you're just thinking about the last saved version of yourself, which is the old you, and you keep thinking of like that version of you, you can't print out the new version of you until you change the software inside. And I just thought, okay, I just kind of like the way she said that.
I like that. I think of it in a different way, but it's the same premise, which is basically like the projector. Like your mind is the, like the projector, and the film, and with the film strips are all the beliefs, the habits, the thoughts, and then what's projected is the reality, right? So whatever's in here is coming out there.
Right.
And sometimes if you keep having the same thoughts, the screen, the image looks the same, but it really is changing. Every strip is it's just the same image over and over and over and over, because that's what you keep stamping, right? It looks like it's the same, but it's not. It's moving. You're recreating your reality in every second, right?
Yeah.
And so in order to see something different, you need to download, change a different thought on the inside.
And I do think people tend to give up a little too quickly when they try something. So she even talked about how when you first start and you kind of feel like nothing's happening right yet, she's like, okay, the file's kind of buffering, right? It's getting ready. It's downloading, it's buffering, and it's going to happen. You just have to, be patient and stay the course. Don't give up and say, oh, this doesn't work. And if you feel the feeling of having it, what it is you want, that's a great feeling. Like, it's fun. You feel good. You feel, if you walk around now feeling like you have what it is you desire, that's a great feeling. And I think a lot of people just don't put themselves in the mindset of, okay, what is it I want? Oh, that's what I want. Now, how would that make me feel? Oh, okay, that's how it make me feel. But then trying to feel that feeling, like, it takes a little practice. It's a little, it's a little awkward at first. But I think when you understand it and can implement it, I think that's when the magic happens.
It's so easy to slide back to the old file or whatever, like the autopilot. I just keep reminders, Post-its. I have an alarm on my phone to remember to be that person. I am very intentional in the morning. Like when I wake up, I tried to step into that person, but throughout the day, it's easy to kind of slip, getting frustrated at the kids for taking, things like that. I'll fall back in, but I have to keep kind of resetting. It's just a conscious decision. If you have to keep, it's nonstop. Like maybe eventually I'll get to a point where it doesn't feel like I have to effort so hard to stay in it, because I'll become it by then. But right now, exactly. I just have to keep kind of putting myself in it.
How often do you set your alarm?
Every 2 hours.
And what when the alarm goes off, what do you do?
What do? I just kind of think of like, where are my thoughts right now? Am I being that person? Where's my attention? What am I focusing on right now?
Yeah. No, because I've read about that, setting alarms, and I just was curious because I've heard people say that, like Kathy Heller talks about that in Abundant Ever After, like check in on yourself. She talked about doing that, setting alarms on her phone and checking in on ourselves throughout the day, like, where am I at? Because it's very easy to be like, oh, you know what? Like the whole morning I've been worried about that one stupid client, and I've let this kind of derail my vibe, when it's all good. I'll get this matter resolved. It'll get fixed, and I'm still the uber successful person that I am.
Yep.
you know, and I feel that feeling and I feel that way. And I've really been trying to practice that this year, and I feel a difference. You know, even I could be at the grocery store, I could be walking to Starbucks. I feel like I'm that person. You know, I walk down the street like I am that person that has already got all those things that I want, and I just try to feel like, okay, yeah, how would I feel? This is how I would feel. I'd have definitely a different little vibe to me, and it's fun too. I can't stress that enough. It's fun because you're thinking about these things that you want, these things that, you know, that you can accomplish, and then feeling like you've got them. I mean, it's even like a trial. If you got a big trial, have you ever just felt like, I've done this all the time, how would I feel when the jury came back with a verdict for me?
Andy, I recorded a visualization to music where I basically I listen to it. It's like, you know, I'm walking through a field of flowers and then I see a door, and on the door ingrained in the wood it says the verdict is in. And I walk through and I step into the courtroom and the judge is on the bench and the jury files in and they're faceless, you know, as I'm visualizing, and I hear they announce a verdict for my client, and we hug and we are excited, and you know, and I did that for my last trial, and I listened to it maybe 4 or 5 times before, and it happened exactly how I visualized it.
Wow.
You know, and so yeah, that's super powerful.
I love that. I think, okay, and how will I feel? How will I feel when the jury, when the judge, you know, they read that verdict?
Yep.
We find 4, fill in the blank, and then all of a sudden in your body, you're just like,
the relief, the excitement.
You feel an energy flow head to toe, like, hell yes.
And the judge gives you like a nod of approval.
And it's like a big, strong, powerful hug with your client, like an embrace. And you just feel like all the hard work you put in, it has been validated, and it's just the best feeling in the world. And I think so many people, I don't know, like they don't allow themselves to feel that. Like it's almost like taboo. Like, well, I can't pretend to feel that because I haven't done that yet. Like, no,
right. Or like I'll jinx it somehow.
Feel it now, right? Yeah. Feel it now.
Yeah, you know like, something. The most profound thing I've read recently, and I don't know, maybe you don't want to go with me in this direction, but and this could be a whole nother show, but the concept that like we are gods and we're the only species on the planet that has the power of imagination, and that's because we're creators and we create through our imagination. So we have this gift so that we could create our own reality like no other animal, you know.
I tell you, I feel like this is going to happen at some point. I'm going to die. My soul is going to go wherever my soul goes, okay? And I'm going to go to this other realm. I'm a starseed. We've talked about that, right? I'm going to go back to some other wherever at, and I'm going to look back and say, oh my God, like it was humans just didn't realize that they had the power through their mind to create the reality.
Yeah, it'll be had full body goosebumps.
I had like, holy cow, like I thought I did pretty well, but I could have literally created all these things if I would have just followed these simple little techniques and believed I could do it. Like, holy shit. Like, oh my God, I wish people, can I go back? Can I go back to Earth now and try to teach this?
Back in. Yeah, right.
Yeah. You know, and I really do feel it. And I actually have, you say imagination. I've got a poster around the corner from me now. It's an Albert Einstein quote, and I've got it framed. It says, imagination is more important than knowledge. I look at that every day. Imagine, if you can believe it and imagine it, it can become real. And I can't stress enough imagination. And that is a whole other podcast. We're going to get into that. We should do a whole one on imagination, the power to create. Yeah, and like we are the only species that can do that, you know, to imagine, create your reality. Because I want to talk to you, we'll do this next time. I want to talk about the concept of the different versions of you that are out there that already have it. Like there's a version of me right now that has all the things that I'm talking about. I just have to walk into that guy's reality. And Julia Martin talks about this, where it's like a meeting with your future self. It's like let's say you wanted to have this beautiful house on the beach. Like I thought about, I want to have this beautiful mansion in Sarasota, Florida. I picture rolling up in the driveway, ringing the doorbell, and there's me, the version of me that has it, answers the door. Hey, what's up, buddy? And we talk. And the future version of me kind of like guides me through like how he got there. It's like, yeah, this is all yours. You know, this is how you do it. This is how I did it. It's really easy, you know? And I'm like, okay, I got it, you know? And there's a version of me out there right now that has all this, right?
There's a version of me that lives in Sarasota, Florida as well. And I walk through her mansion like every night before bed.
Beautiful. Yeah. All right. This is going to be our next podcast episode. Let's talk about next episode. Let's talk about imagination, the power to create, what we can do. But for this one, what I wanted to do is I wanted to congratulate you, tell you how impressed I am because you actually do it. So many people, they're like, okay, yeah, I think I'll try. Yeah, I'll do it. You actually do it. You're proactive. The results happen. And when we do the next one, let's give it a little time. We'll come back, sometime this summer. We'll see where you're at. I mean, if we put it on a chart, I can see the angle we're at. So lots more to come. Always great to talk to you. I could talk to you for hours and hours. Thank you for joining me. To be continued.
Yeah, thank you, Andy. Can't wait.